Tonight is not an ordinary night. It may look like every other evening you have lived through, but heaven does not measure time the way earth does. There are moments hidden inside history, appointed moments when the unseen moves before the seen ever notices. The 30th of December 2025 is such a moment. What happens in your house tonight may seem small, quiet, even invisible, but it carries the power to shift everything that follows. In ancient times, judgment and mercy often began at the door of a house. When destruction passed through Egypt, it did not ask how powerful a nation was or how wealthy a family seemed. It asked one question: what is on the door? Houses marked were spared. Houses unmarked were not. History did not change in the palace first, it changed in homes. And it will happen again. Tonight, there is a dividing line, not between nations, not between churches, but between households. Some homes are filled with noise, yet empty of presence. Others are quiet, but filled with something unseen. Heaven is watching what is welcomed, what is tolerated, and what is ignored. What you allow into your house tonight will determine what remains tomorrow. There are doors you did not know you opened, voices you allowed to speak without questioning, images that entered without knocking, words spoken in frustration that lingered like a cloud. These things do not disappear on their own. Houses remember, walls hear, atmospheres are formed. And tonight, those atmospheres will either be challenged or confirmed. This is not about fear, it is about alignment. In Scripture, whenever a turning point came, there was first a call to prepare the house. Before revival came, idols were removed. Before protection came, obedience was required. Before breakthrough came, there was separation. What you remove tonight may matter more than what you ask for. Some will go to sleep as they always do and wake up unchanged. Others will sense a holy disturbance, a quiet conviction, a stirring that says, something must change now. Those are the moments that shape destiny. Not the loud miracles, but the silent decisions made when no one is watching. If you choose to cleanse your house tonight, your conversations, your screens, your attitudes, your secret compromises, you are not losing anything. You are making room. And when room is made, heaven fills it. Peace enters where tension lived. Light replaces heaviness. Clarity breaks confusion. The house becomes a place of refuge instead of resistance. Some will notice a shift immediately. Others will see it unfold slowly. But make no mistake, after tonight, things will not remain the same. Either the atmosphere hardens or it softens. Either the door closes to what destroys or it opens wider. Neutrality is not an option. Tonight is not about perfection, it is about surrender. Not about religion, but return. Not about ritual, but recognition that your house matters. Your choices matter. And this night matters more than you think. The 30th of December 2025 will pass like any other date on the calendar. But what happens inside your house tonight will echo into the days ahead. History often turns quietly. Destiny often begins at home. Choose wisely. Tonight is not just another turning of the clock or another page on the calendar. The 30th of December 2025 stands as a moment hidden in plain sight. An appointed time disguised as an ordinary night. Most people will treat it like any other evening dinner, conversation, distraction, sleep, but history has never been shaped by what most people notice. History shifts when heaven intervenes quietly, when destiny moves without announcement, when the unseen rearranges what the seen will later call sudden. Throughout time, there have been moments when everything depended on a single night. Not years, not decades. One night. A night when nothing appeared to change on the surface. Yet everything beneath it was being decided. Empires did not fall in a single evening, but the turning point often came in silence. Revival did not begin with crowds, but with households. Judgment did not begin with fire from the sky, but with a line being drawn. This night carries that same weight. It is an intersection where what has been tolerated meets what must now be confronted, where delay meets decision, where continuation meets correction. The danger of such a moment is not rejection, it is familiarity. When a moment feels ordinary, it is easy to miss its urgency. Yet some of the most consequential events in history came when people were eating, resting, and unaware that everything was about to shift. An appointed moment does not force itself upon you. It waits, it watches, it responds. Heaven does not override human choice, it honors it. And that is why this night matters. What you do, what you ignore, and what you postpone tonight will shape what follows. Not because the date itself is magical, but because moments of decision accumulate power when resisted or embraced. Many believe that change must come loudly, dramatically, with unmistakable signs. But often, the most dangerous moments are quiet ones. Nights when there is no crisis, no warning siren, no external pressure, only an inner stirring that something must change. Those who listen to that stirring alter their course. Those who silence it repeat their cycles. This night is not asking for perfection. It is asking for recognition. Recognition that life is not drifting aimlessly, that moments are weighted, that time carries assignments. There are moments when heaven leans closer, when the margin for delay narrows, when indifference carries greater cost than opposition. You may not feel anything unusual. That does not lessen the significance. The earth felt nothing when seeds were planted beneath its surface, yet entire harvest depended on that hidden moment. In the same way, what happens tonight may not announce itself immediately, but later, when doors open or close, when peace increases or confusion deepens, when things either align or unravel, this night will be found standing quietly at the root of it all. An appointed moment always reveals what truly governs a life. Not what is claimed publicly, but what is chosen privately. It exposes what has been postponed too long and what has been protected at all costs. It asks a simple but piercing question. Will this moment be honored or will it be wasted? The 30th of December, 2025 will pass for everyone. But it will not pass the same way for everyone. For some, it will be another forgotten night. For others, it will become a hinge, before and after, old and new, continuation and change. The difference will not be circumstances, it will be response. Moments like this do not return unchanged. Once an appointed time passes, the next opportunity rarely carries the same weight. That is why this night matters more than it appears, because heaven has marked it, even if earth has not. What happens inside a house often matters more than what happens on the streets outside. Nations rise and fall publicly, but the forces that shape them are formed privately. Long before history records a turning point, that turning point usually begins behind closed doors, in places unseen by crowds and unnoticed by headlines. This is why the focus of this night is not the world at large, but the home. A house is more than walls and a roof. It is a container. It holds words, emotions, habits, and beliefs. Every argument leaves a trace. Every act of kindness strengthens something unseen. Every compromise settles like dust, slowly shaping the atmosphere. Over time, houses become environments that either invite peace or resist it, that either nurture clarity or breed confusion. And once an atmosphere is established, it does not easily change without intention. History shows that when decisive moments arrive, they often bypass institutions and go straight to households. Before protection came, doors were marked. Before judgment moved through the land, it passed house by house. The condition of the nation was revealed through the condition of its homes. The same principle applies now. What is happening within your walls matters more than what is trending outside them. Many people invest great effort into managing appearances while neglecting atmospheres. A house can look orderly and still be heavy. It can be full of activity and yet empty of peace. It can be religious in language but resistant in spirit. These conditions do not appear overnight. They are formed slowly through what is permitted to remain unchallenged. This night draws attention to that reality, not to shame, but to awaken. Because a house does not cleanse itself automatically. It responds to authority. When nothing is confronted, everything settles. When nothing is removed, nothing changes. What you allow to stay eventually gains influence. There are influences that do not knock. They enter through repetition, through casual exposure, through humor that dulls sensitivity, through voices that normalize what once disturbed the conscience. Over time, what once felt wrong begins to feel familiar, and familiarity breeds permission. The house adjusts, but not always in the right direction. A turning point begins when awareness returns, when someone recognizes that not everything welcome deserves to remain, that some things are not neutral, even if they are common. This recognition is not dramatic. It is quiet, honest, and deeply personal. It often happens at night, when distractions lessen and truth speaks more clearly. Changing the atmosphere of a house does not require grand gestures. It requires alignment, decisions about what will be spoken, what will be watched, what will be tolerated, and what will be removed. When these decisions are made with sincerity, the house responds. Tension loosens. Clarity increases. Peace becomes possible again. Some will resist this moment, believing that small compromises do not matter. But atmospheres are built from small things. A single word repeated often enough becomes a culture. A single habit left unchecked becomes a stronghold. The condition of a house tomorrow will reflect the decisions made tonight. What happens in a house does not stay in a house. It shapes the people who live there. It influences the next generation. It determines what feels normal and what feels foreign. This is why moments like this matter, because when a house changes, lives change with it. Tonight offers a choice not between perfection and failure, but between awareness and neglect, between intentionality and drift, between allowing the atmosphere to harden or choosing to soften it. History will not record this decision, but destiny will reflect it. The world may never know what shifted inside your house tonight, but you will live in the consequences of it. And that is why this moment matters more than it appears. There are moments when life quietly draws a line. Not a visible line, not one announced with sound or spectacle, but a line nonetheless. On one side is continuation, on the other is change. On one side is drifting forward as things have been. On the other is a turning that alters direction. This night stands at such a line. It does not shout, it waits. A dividing line does not always separate good from evil in obvious ways. Often it separates awareness from indifference, obedience from delay, courage from comfort. Two houses can look identical from the outside and yet be standing on opposite sides of that line. The difference is not location, resources, or reputation. The difference is response. This line does not run between nations or institutions. It runs through hearts and households. It appears in moments when a choice must be made, not a public choice, but a private one. No one else may see it. No one else may measure it. Yet it carries consequences that unfold over time. Some will sense a quiet prompting tonight, a nudge to address something that has been ignored, to confront what has been normalized, to realign what has drifted. Others will feel nothing at all and assume nothing is required. Both reactions are choices. One engages the moment, the other passes through it unchanged. The danger of missing a dividing line is not rebellion, it is delay. Delay feels harmless. It promises that there will be time later, another night, another opportunity. But dividing lines do not always return. Once crossed, the landscape on the other side begins to shape itself differently. Households that respond to such moments do not become perfect, they become aligned. Alignment does not remove struggle, but it does change direction. It interrupts cycles. It alters atmosphere. It shifts what feels natural and what feels resisted. When alignment occurs, peace begins to re-enter places where tension had settled. Those who ignore such moments often do not notice immediate consequences. That is what makes the line so subtle. Nothing dramatic happens at first. Life continues. Routines remain. But slowly, distance grows between intention and action, between belief and behavior. Over time, what was once uncomfortable becomes accepted, and what was once clear becomes blurred. The dividing line reveals itself later, when outcomes begin to differ. When one household experiences increasing clarity, while another feels growing confusion. When one finds restoration unfolding quietly, while another feels stuck repeating the same patterns. The line was crossed earlier, even if it was not recognized then. This moment is not about fear of consequences, it is about awareness of opportunity. Every dividing line also offers a crossing point toward restoration. It invites intentional movement instead of passive continuation. It offers a chance to choose direction before momentum locks it in. Households that step across such lines often do so quietly. There is no applause, no external validation, just a decision made in sincerity. That decision may involve letting go of habits that once felt harmless, changing patterns of speech, redefining boundaries, or addressing unresolved tensions. These acts may seem small, but they carry weight because they signal a willingness to realign. Those who choose alignment tonight may not feel immediate relief. Change often begins with discomfort, but over time, they will notice that resistance lessens, peace increases, and clarity replaces confusion. The atmosphere shifts not because circumstances changed, but because direction did. This line does not force anyone to cross it. It respects choice. That is what makes it significant. The moment will pass, but the direction chosen will continue. And direction, more than speed, determines destination. Tonight, whether acknowledged or ignored, the line is present. One step or the refusal to take it will decide which side you stand on. The choice will echo quietly, shaping what comes next. Before anything new can enter, something old must often be removed. This is a pattern woven into the fabric of life. Fields are cleared before they can be planted. Rooms are emptied before they can be filled. Healing begins where infection is addressed, not ignored. In the same way, true change rarely begins with addition. It begins with removal. This night draws attention to that often resisted truth. Many people want transformation without disruption. They hope for peace without confronting what disturbs it. They pray for clarity while holding on to confusion. But what is allowed to remain will always compete with what is trying to arrive. Breakthrough does not force its way into crowded spaces. It waits for room. Removal is uncomfortable because it requires honesty. It asks questions that are easy to avoid. What has been tolerated too long? What once felt wrong but no longer stirs concern? What habits, words, images, or attitudes have settled into the house unnoticed? These things may not seem dangerous, but they occupy space, influence, atmosphere, and shape direction. Nothing stays neutral forever. What is not addressed eventually establishes itself. Small compromises grow roots. Unchecked patterns become structures. Over time, what entered quietly begins to govern loudly. This is why removal matters more than many realize. It is not about restriction. It is about restoration. The act of removing does not mean losing something valuable. Often it means releasing what has been draining life without being recognized as a threat. There are things that promise comfort but deliver heaviness. Things that entertain but leave emptiness behind. Things that distract but erode sensitivity. When these are removed, their absence is felt, but so is the relief. This night offers an opportunity to clear space intentionally, not through force, but through decision. Removal begins with recognition. Recognition leads to resolve. Resolve leads to action. And action, even when small, signals readiness for change. Some resist removal because they fear what will be left behind. Silence can feel uncomfortable. Simplicity can feel empty. But emptiness is not the enemy when it is intentional. Emptiness creates capacity. Capacity invites filling. When space is made deliberately, what enters next is not accidental. Houses that experience renewal often go through a quiet clearing first. Conversations change. Certain influences are no longer welcomed. Boundaries are reestablished. These changes may feel restrictive at first, but they quickly reveal themselves as protective. What once overwhelmed begins to lose its grip. Breakthrough is rarely dramatic at the start. It often begins with a lighter atmosphere, clearer thinking, calmer interactions. These are signs that space has been made. When resistance decreases, flow increases. When clutter is removed, direction becomes visible. Removal also communicates authority. It declares that the house is not governed by habit or impulse, but by intention. That declaration carries weight. It resets what is acceptable and what is not. Over time, this authority shapes behavior naturally without constant effort. This moment is not about condemning the past. It is about preparing for the future. Removal honors what is coming by making room for it. Without removal, new things are forced to compete with old patterns, and they rarely win that battle. Some will choose to hold on, fearing discomfort more than stagnation. Others will choose to release, trusting that what replaces the old will be better. The difference between these choices will become evident over time, not immediately, but inevitably. Tonight is an invitation to begin that clearing. Not all at once, not perfectly, but sincerely. What you choose to remove tonight will determine what is able to enter tomorrow. And that decision, though quiet, will shape the season ahead. What happens in silence often carries more power than what happens in public. Loud moments attract attention, but quiet decisions shape direction. Long after words spoken on stages are forgotten, the choices made alone continue to influence outcomes. This is why the decisions made tonight matter more than they appear. They may not be witnessed, recorded, or celebrated, but they will echo. Silent decisions are powerful because they are honest. There is no performance when no one is watching, no pressure to impress, no need to appear consistent with expectations. In silence, people reveal what they truly value, what they are willing to change, and what they are determined to protect. These decisions form the foundation upon which the future is built. Many lives do not change because of a lack of opportunity, but because of postponed decisions. People wait for the perfect moment, the right feeling, the ideal circumstances. But destiny rarely responds to ideal conditions. It responds to obedience in ordinary moments. The future is often decided not when life is dramatic, but when it is quiet. Tonight is one of those quiet moments. There may be no crisis forcing change, no external pressure demanding action. That is what makes the decision so revealing. Choosing to realign when nothing is forcing you to do so signals readiness for growth. It shows that direction matters more than comfort. Small decisions feel insignificant because their impact is not immediate. Choosing different words in a conversation, turning away from a familiar distraction, setting a boundary that no one else will notice. These actions do not create instant transformation, but they adjust trajectory. And trajectory, over time, determines destination. Every life moves in a direction, whether intentionally chosen or passively accepted. Silent decisions act like slight turns of the steering wheel. The change feels minimal at first, the road looks the same, but miles later, the destination is completely different. This is how futures are shaped, not by sudden leaps, but by consistent alignment. The danger of ignoring such moments is not immediate collapse. It is slow drift. Drift is subtle. It convinces people that nothing is wrong because nothing is falling apart. But drift always leads somewhere, and rarely where one intended to go. Silent decisions interrupt drift by reintroducing intention. These decisions also build inner strength. Each time alignment is chosen over convenience, clarity increases. Resistance loses its power. What once felt difficult becomes natural. Over time, discipline turns into freedom, and obedience turns into peace. Some may underestimate this night because it feels ordinary. But ordinary nights have always carried extraordinary potential. Foundations are laid when no one is watching. Roots grow in darkness before anything appears above ground. What emerges later depends on what was established quietly. The future will ask questions that tonight will answer. When pressure comes, direction will already be set. When temptation appears, boundaries will already be defined. When opportunity arrives, readiness will already exist. These outcomes are not accidental. They are the result of earlier choices made in silence. This moment invites intentionality. Not perfection, but purpose. Not drastic change, but decisive movement. Even one sincere decision tonight can become a turning point. Not because it is large, but because it is true. Years from now, when life looks different, when peace is deeper, clarity is stronger, and direction is clearer, it may be difficult to trace the change back to this night. But it will be there, quietly holding the beginning. Silent decisions do not demand recognition. They do not seek validation. They simply work. And that is why what you choose tonight will matter long after this moment has passed. Some moments do not announce themselves when they arrive, but they make themselves known over time. They pass quietly, unnoticed by most, yet they leave behind a trail that can be traced only in hindsight. This is the nature of moments that echo. They do not shout in the present, they speak in the future. What happens tonight belongs to that kind of moment. An echo is created when a sound meets space. Without space, there is no reverberation. In the same way, choices create echoes when they are made with intention and allowed to carry forward. A decision made sincerely does not end when the moment passes. It continues, shaping attitudes, responses, and direction long after the initial choice is forgotten. Tonight's decisions will not remain confined to this night. They will repeat themselves in subtle ways. A choice to realign will echo as peace in moments of stress. A choice to delay will echo as frustration when patterns repeat. These echoes will not be dramatic, but they will be consistent. Over time, consistency reveals origin. Many people look for change in external circumstances, unaware that the echo of an internal decision is what shapes those circumstances. Life responds to direction more than desire. What is chosen internally establishes a rhythm that the external world eventually follows. These echoes often appear in small, unremarkable ways. Conversations become calmer. Reactions become measured. Decisions become clearer. Or, if alignment is avoided, confusion lingers, tension returns, and the same issues resurface again and again. The present rarely explains these patterns, but the past holds the answer. What makes tonight significant is not its drama, but its potential. It holds the power to send a signal forward in time. That signal will be picked up in moments that seem unrelated. When clarity suddenly arrives, when resistance unexpectedly lifts, when direction feels easier, the echo of this night will be present. An echo does not weaken with distance, it transforms. What begins as a decision becomes a habit. What begins as a habit becomes a culture. What becomes a culture defines an environment. This is how a single moment extends itself far beyond its original context. Those who choose alignment tonight may not see immediate results. That is normal. Echoes take time to return, but they will return. They always do. The difference is that aligned echoes bring stability, while ignored moments produce distortion. Some will underestimate this night because nothing dramatic occurs, no sudden breakthrough, no visible shift. But the most enduring changes rarely begin with spectacle. They begin with quiet resolve. They begin with someone deciding that repetition without progress is no longer acceptable. The future will feel the effects of this night without knowing its source. A door will open at the right time. A burden will feel lighter without explanation. A cycle will break without a clear cause. These moments are not random, they are responses. What you choose tonight sets a tone that tomorrow will follow. Tone influences interpretation. It determines whether challenges are met with fear or confidence, whether opportunities are seized or missed. That tone will carry forward, repeating itself like a refrain. This is why the night matters, not because of what is seen, but because of what is sent forward. An echo cannot be retrieved once released. It travels until it meets something that absorbs it or reflects it back. Tonight offers a chance to send the right echo, one of intention rather than indifference, of alignment rather than drift, of purpose rather than habit. That echo will return, not as sound, but as outcome. When the days ahead begin to unfold, this night will seem distant, but its influence will be present, shaping responses, guiding direction, and confirming that quiet moments, when honored, carry lasting power.